So we have talked about polynomials with 2 terms and with 4 terms. Now we are discussing the polynomials with 3 terms. How to factorize polynomials with 3 terms. So these type of polynomials are also called trinomials. In the similar fashion as we call the single term polynomial as monomials, and polynomials with 2 terms we call them binomials. So in the same fashion with 3 terms we call them trinomials. Take any example. X squared plus 5x plus 6. So this is a univariate polynomial which is trinomial, and there is only one variable which is x. So when we are factorizing these type of polynomials, we cannot make groups as we did with 4 terms, because in 4 terms we were able to make 2 terms together and take something common from 2 terms and take something common from other 2 terms, and later we took a binomial common from that. But we cannot do the same thing here because we have 3 terms and there is nothing common in between these 3. So in these type of trinomials, we try to split the central term, this term 5x, into 2 terms. So we make them from 3 to 4 and then we try to get something common. So there is a method of splitting this middle term so that we could actually get common from those 4 terms. So what is that method? So the method of factorizing trinomial is that you always compare this trinomial with the standard form ax squared plus bx plus c. So this is the standard form. So if you compare these two, you will notice that a is the coefficient of x squared, which is 1. So a is 1 and b is 5 and c is 6. C is a constant. So first you have to determine what are the values of a, b and c, and then the method which I am going to explain is also called AC method. So what we do here is we multiply a with c. So 1 into 6 equals 6, and then we write down b, whatever is the value of b equals 5. Now we have 2 numbers, AC equals 6 and b equals 5. And now what we have to do is we have to find 2 numbers such that their product is AC and their sum equals b. So we have to find these 2 numbers, and then we will split this term using those 2 numbers. We will split into those 2 numbers. So how to find these numbers? Think about the factors of 6, 1, 2, 3, 6. These are the factors of 6 which we get from AC. Out of these numbers, which 2 numbers we multiply get 6, and when we add them we get 5. So you can easily figure out that if we multiply these 2 numbers, 2 and 3, so we get 6, and we add 2 and 3, we get 5. So we will split this 5x into 2x and 3x. So once we have found these numbers, we will split the middle term into these numbers. So we will rewrite our original equation, x squared plus 2x plus 3x plus 6. And now if we take common, see what happens. We take x from first 2 terms and we are left with x plus 2. And we take common plus 3 with the second 2 term, because only number is common between 3rd and 4th term. So we are left with x plus 2. And now you can see that this x plus 2, which is a binomial, we can take this binomial as a common, because this binomial is just acting like a single letter. So this is one term. As I already mentioned, that you must be able to identify that whether it's one term or not. So one term is this, the other term is this. So these 2 terms have x plus 2 common, because it's just like this, just x is multiplied by something which is x plus 2, and the second term has 3 multiplied by something which is same. So we can take this thing common. So now taking x plus 2 common, when we take whole, this is a binomial. When we take this binomial common, we are left with x in the first term and plus 3 in the second term. And we are able to factorize this. These are the factors of x squared plus 5x plus 6. So let us take another example. 6x squared minus 5x minus 4. Now compare this with ax squared plus bx plus c, and we find that a equals 6, b equals minus 5. We have to consider the sign of the coefficient, and c equals minus 4. So our AC is minus 24 and our b is minus 5. Now we have to find two numbers. If multiplied, we get minus 24, and if added, we get 5. Sign is the main reason of making errors in this procedure. So now I am showing you how you decide what will be the sign of those numbers. So suppose we have two numbers. One number is any number here and the other number is this. This we have to find. But because there are signs involved in here, so there is a method you can easily determine what will be the sign of these numbers. So how you determine the sign of these numbers? Now, if you look carefully, that the sign of the product is minus. The sign of the product is minus. So when you multiply two numbers and you have to get a minus sign, so what will you have? What will be the sign of the numbers? One must be positive and one must be negative. One must be positive and one number must have a negative sign, and only then you will get this minus sign here. When you will multiply those two numbers, it doesn't matter whether you put the negative number first or the positive number first. The only thing important is that one number will have a positive sign and the one number will have a negative sign. Now if you look at the sign of B, the sign of B is negative. And what this tells us is, because when we will add those two numbers, when we will add these two numbers, we will get a negative sign. So it means the larger number will have the negative sign. So you will put the larger number here. Larger of those number will have a negative sign. So now we have decided that we will be looking for two numbers. If we multiply, we get 24, and if we add, we get 5. So let's talk about the factors of 24, because 24 is the product of those two numbers. So what are the factors of 24? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. So now look for two numbers in these factors. Whether you write here or you just do in your head, doesn't matter. So what two numbers if we add, we get 5, and if we multiply, we get 24. One pair will be this one, 1 into 24, because they both have different signs. So from 24 to 1, we will only get 23. Okay. Now look at the next one. 2 into 12 is also 24. The product will be 24. But if we add 2 and 12 and one has the different sign, so we will get 10. So this is not our number because we need 5. This is our target. When we add those numbers, we should be able to get 5. So now the next number, next pair is 3 multiplied by 8. So if we multiply 3 and 8, we get 24. And if we add 3 and 8, we can get 5 because both will have different signs. And the sign of the larger number will be negative. So we got our numbers. The numbers are 3 and 8. So these are our magic numbers. And the larger has the negative sign because we have already checked this. So minus 8 and plus 3, and both will have different signs. So now the sign problem is solved. So this is the main source of error. So now our numbers are 3 and minus 8. And now we split this minus 5x into 3x and minus 8x. So the next step would be plus 3x. You can write minus 8x first, no problem. Minus 8x and minus 4. You see, we are not changing the original equation, because if you simplify these two, you will get minus 5x. So we have just identified a way to split this term so that we could factorize this. And now you can see that we have a number common in x common in first two and also a number common in first two. So what is the number between these two terms which we can take common? 3. 3 is the greatest common factor. And x is the minimum exponent of x is 1, so we can take 3x common. The same technique which we are using from the beginning. That what is the GCA, what is the greatest common factor common between two numbers, and what is the minimum exponent. So we will take common 3x from the first two. And inside the bracket we will get 2x plus, pause the video and think, 1. Then from next two numbers we take the negative sign common, negative, and 8 and 4, what is common here? What is the greatest common factor between 8 and 4? 4. So we can take 4 common. There is no x in the second term, so we cannot take x common. So we get 2x. The sign of this term will change because we are taking minus common. So the sign of next term will also change, and we get 1. And now if you look here, you will notice that we have, this is one term and this is second term. And in both of these terms, we have this binomial common. This is a binomial, a polynomial with two terms. So we have this binomial common. So we can take this binomial common. So this will be 2x plus 1. And what will be left here? 3x minus 4. So now we got this one product form, which is our answer, because we are able to convert that open form into a product form. So this is the factorization. So what we are doing is opposite of opening bracket. So if you open these brackets, you will get this value. So this is how we factorize the trinomials. And now I want you to practice the sign thing first. So now we will do few examples and we will just decide the sign of the numbers so that you can have some practice of making the correct signs of those numbers, because finding number is not very hard. Putting sign on those numbers is really sometimes tricky. So we will do some practice on how to put signs in the next video.